Good morning, students. So yesterday, in our last session, we learned about what is electric current. So once again, I revised a bit about what is electric current. Then the next quantity we learned is potential difference. Potential difference. These are the two quantities we learned yesterday. So coming to electric current, we learned that the flow of electrons in a conductor is called as electric current. So precisely defining electric current, we say that the rate of flow of electrons across a point we call it as electric current. So equation wise, we are putting it as I is equal to Q by T. So this is electric current. We are denoting electric current with I. Q is the charge moving through a certain point or passing through a certain point in a period of time t. This rate of flow of charges, like I put it in the other way around now. I am not saying it as rate of flow of electrons. I am saying it as rate of flow of charges is called as electric current. So this is what we learned about electric current yesterday, and we learned that the unit of electric current is ampere, and we also learned that if 1 coulomb of charge pass through a point in 1 second of time, then we call it as 1 ampere. The current is said to be 1, or the electric current is said to be 1 ampere. Then coming to potential difference, we learned that the work done in making the charge to flow from one point to another point, we call it as potential difference. The work done in moving a charge from one particular point to another particular point, we say that it is potential difference. That potential difference is given by V is equal to W by work done by in moving a charge. So this W is nothing but, as we already saw, this is a varied as coulomb by second. Here it is nothing but joule by coulomb. So the work done in moving a charge from one point to another point, we call it as potential difference. And the unit of potential difference is joule per coulomb, which we call it as quote of a famous Italian scientist Voltaire. So I told you what exactly is potential difference and what exactly is electric current. I told you why we require this potential difference. See, yesterday I drew a parallel or an analogy that the water to flow from one point to another point, there should be a difference in heads or difference in heights or difference in levels. In the same way, for the charges to flow in a conductor, we require difference in potential. So that difference in potential we call it as potential difference, and that we define it as the work done is moving a charge from one point to another point. Now we will establish the relation between electric current and potential difference now. So that relation of potential difference and electric current is called as Ohm's law. It is called as Ohm's law. So he gave us a relation between potential difference and electric current. So the potential difference are, let me denote it, V is directly proportional to the electric current flowing through a conductor. Let me put it the other way around. The potential difference between two points will be directly proportional to the electric current flowing through the conductor. Now, if I remove this proportionality sign, then we get it as V is equal to, I am removing this proportionality sign, I am introducing is equal to which? IR. This, to remove this proportion sign, I am introducing a constant R, which is nothing but V is equal to IR. Or I can express it in other way around. It is V by I is equal to R, where R is called the resistance of the conductor. R is called the resistance of the conductor. Now we have come to a third quantity in electricity. The first quantity is electric current. Second quantity is potential difference. What is driving this electric current? The third quantity is resistance. R is nothing but the resistance. Now, what is resistance? What exactly is resistance? Before going to what exactly is resistance, let me once again go back to Ohm's law. What does Ohm's law say? Ohm's law says that the potential difference between two ends of a conductor is directly proportional to the current flowing through the conductor. That is nothing but V is directly proportional to I R. By removing this proportionality sign, I have introduced a constant R to make you understand easily what I will do. I will, instead of putting IR, what I will do here is I put it as RI. So I we have here. So instead of proportionality sign, I have introduced is equal to, and that proportionality constant is nothing but R. R is called the resistance. Or the other way around, I will put it as V by I is equal to R. Now I will explain you what is meant by resistance. Now we have discussed yesterday that for the charges to flow in a conductor, we need potential difference between the ends of the conductor. Now, when you apply this potential difference, or when you maintain the conductor at different potentials, then the charges will flow. So, when you suddenly apply energy, potential difference is nothing but energy. Why energy? Why potential difference is energy? How did we define potential difference? Once again, let me go back to that equation. V is equal to W by Q. What is W here? Work done. Work done is nothing but the energy applied. So, when we suddenly apply energy, the electrons accelerate, or the charges accelerate suddenly. Accelerate suddenly means they get that energy and they start to move suddenly. They get that motion very suddenly. So, when all the electrons get that sudden motion, there will be a lot of collisions between the electrons. Okay, there will be a lot of collisions between the electrons, and these collisions, due to these collisions, the electrons will come to rest momentarily before once again they start moving. These collisions is nothing but the resistance. These collisions between the electrons and also collisions between the electrons and the positive ions. What are positive ions here? See, we have an atom, right? Yesterday we discussed what is an atom, right? So there will be a nucleus in this center, electrons will be moving around it. So the charge of the atom will always be neutral. Why it will be neutral? Because the number of protons will be equal to the number of electrons, where protons are positively charged and electrons are negatively charged. When an electron comes out of that atom, then we call that atom as positive ion. So there will be collisions between the electrons and the positive ions. There will be collisions between the electrons and the impurities if they are present in the conductor. These collisions, or due to these collisions, the flow of electrons, there will be a hindrance to the flow of electrons. That hindrance to the flow of electrons, or that resisting to the flow of electrons, is called as resistance. Let me sum up once again. The collisions between the electrons, that's the first collision. The second collision is the collision between the electrons and the positive ions. I already told you what are positive ions. Then the third one, the electrons, the collisions between the electrons and the impurities, if they are present in the conductor, then that collisions will result in the hindrance to the flow of electrons. That hindrance we call it as resistance. And the unit of resistance. So what is the unit of potential difference we got? It is nothing but mole. What is the unit of current, electric current? It is nothing but ampere. So volt per ampere is called as ohm. So it is denoted in this way. Ohm. So how do we define ohm? If 1 volt or 1 ampere of current is flowing through a potential difference or across a potential difference of 1 volt, then there will be a resistance of 1 ohm. This is how we define resistance. Okay, so yesterday we also discussed that to provide this necessary potential difference, we need cells. So cells, I already told you what are cells here. So I showed you there will be two terminals, one is negative terminal and one is positive terminal. This is how you denote a cell. So what is cell? Cell is the one which provides the necessary energy to drive the electrons. Okay, the necessary energy is provided to drive the cells in a conductor is called as cell. This is how we are denoting cell. And yesterday I showed you we are denoting this as key. Key means to cut the current in the circuit or to make the current to flow in the circuit. So this is the denotation for open, means when you are keeping the circuit open. If I put a one dot here, then we call it as closed circuit. Then we call it as closed circuit. Then if I denote it this like this is nothing but resistance or resistor. Nothing but resistance or resistor. So other denotations also I'll show you, I'll tell you. So we have discussed about electric current, we have discussed about potential difference. Then the question comes, how to measure this electric current? How to measure this potential difference? Very simple. Electric current is measured by a device called as ammeter. Okay, by a device called as ammeter, and that ammeter is always connected in series to the conductor. Say if a conductor is moving, I am connecting a ammeter here, then this once again I am connecting it to a cell. Connecting it to a cell. So this ammeter is a device which measures current, electric current. See here, once again, yesterday we have discussed a bit about the direction of current. We discussed that the direction of current is actually the direction of the electrons, but by convention, what I told you yesterday, by convention, it is the positive charge, the direction of positive charges that is taken into account, because earlier days electron was not discovered, then only we saw the effects of current. So the direction of positive charges is taken as the direction of current. Sorry, I have positive, the direction of positive. Actually, electrons will flow in this direction. Actually, the electrons will flow in this direction. But we are showing the opposite direction, that this is the direction of current. So ammeter is a device which gives us which measures the electric current. If I want to measure the potential difference, I need to connect it between, I need to connect it in a parallel way to measure the potential difference. So this is called as voltmeter. This is called as ammeter, which measures the electric current. Voltmeter is a device which measures the potential difference. Okay. Then as I go through, I will be explaining you the symbols, so to make you understand. Now, let us verify the Ohm's law. What is Ohm's law we got? Ohm's law we got it as V by I. Sorry. Ohm's law we got it as V is equal to IR, or V by I is equal to R. This is what we got it for Ohm's law. What is Ohm's law? The potential difference is directly proportional to the current flowing in the conductor. So, current flowing in the conductor, which is given by V is equal to IR. Now, let us verify the Ohm's law. Let us verify the Ohm's law. See, this is the circuit diagram what I have drawn. So, I explain you the circuit diagram before going to how we are verifying it. So, as I already told you, we have 3 cells here. So, these 3 cells will constitute a battery. I hope you understand the difference between a cell and a battery. So, usually the battery will be having 2 or more cells. Okay. So, even a single cell also can be called as a battery. But here we are taking 3 cells here to vary the current. Okay. We are taking 3 cells to vary the current. Now, see here, we have 3 cells here. So, we have one resistor, we have one ammeter to measure the electric current, we have one key or switch in other words, then we have one voltmeter, So, voltmeter is used to measure the potential difference between the 2 points, because why we are keeping voltmeter in parallel? Very simple. What is potential? What is the basic definition of potential difference? It is the work done in moving a charge from one point to another point. These are the 2 points. X and Y are the 2 points, and I am measuring the potential difference between these 2 points. Therefore, we need to connect voltmeter always in parallel, while we connect the ammeter always in series. Okay, so this is how we are given the connections. Very simple. First, what I will do, this is V1. Let me take it as V1, V2, V3. Where they are the potentials of this cell. V1 is the potential of the first cell. V2 is the potential of second cell. V3 is the potential of third cell. Now what I do, I first only on the first cell. So then what will, when I on the first cell, what will happen? The charges will start moving through the conductor here. Will start moving through the conductor and it will move through the resistance, and that the current is measured by the ammeter and the potential difference is measured by the voltmeter. For that, let me take one table to measure, to note down these readings. Take one more column to denote the number of cells. Now, what I do, I just on the first cell. So what will happen? The current will start moving through the circuit or passing through the circuit. So what I do, I will note down the potential difference in the voltmeter. Some reading I know, say X1, or let me call it as V1. So the corresponding current, I will be noting it as I1, and when I get V1 and I1, so I will get R1 or not? R1, what it will be? It will be V1 divided by I1. Similarly, what I do, I will now on the second cell, I switch on the second cell. So when I switch on the second cell, what I get? I get V2, corresponding current I measure it in the ammeter, that is nothing but I2, and R2 is nothing but once again V3 by I2. Similarly, I measure V3, corresponding I3 and R3. So what I have done here, I have varied the potential difference by switching on each cell. I have varied the potential difference by switching on each cell, and I have noted the corresponding currents, and with this corresponding currents I have calculated R1, R2 and R3. Now what I do, if I plot all these things on a graph, V and I take it as V and I will see that I will get one exponential graph like this. So what it shows, with every with increasing V, what is increasing? I is increasing. Therefore what it shows that V is directly proportional to I. This is how we verify Ohm's law. Okay, once again I will explain this one. See, we have three cells here, V1, V2 and V3. First what I do, I on only or switch on only V1. So certain amount of current will be passing through the circuit, and that what amount or what potential difference I have applied will be measured in the voltmeter, and the corresponding current will be measured in the ammeter. I will note down the readings of V1 and I1. In the second reading, what I do? I switch on V2 once again. So when I switch on V2, what I will get? I will measure the potential difference what I am using or what I have applied, and corresponding current I will be measuring, that is VI2. So once again I calculate R2. So all these things I will be plotting on a graph sheet. So where I will be getting I am getting the exponential curve. And remember that this graph will always give you the resistance. This graph will give you resistance, which is nothing but V by I. Okay, so this is V, right? So this measurement will give us V, and this measurement will give us I. So this V by I will be giving us R, and this exponential growth will show you will tell us that I is directly proportional to V or V is directly proportional to I. So this is what is the verification of Ohm's law. So we have studied about electric current, we have studied about potential difference, we have studied about resistance. Then we have verified by using a circuit. We have verified Ohm's law whether V is directly proportional to I or not. So how we got that? How we showed that V is directly proportional to I? By plotting it on a graph sheet, where we showed that there is an exponential growth here. So I is growing as V is growing. So this is what we showed till now. So next we'll see what are the different factors that are on which resistance will depend. Okay. So we have defined that, we discussed that R, resistance R will always be directly proportional to the length of the conductor. R will be inversely proportional to the area of the conductor. So from these two things, what we are understanding is the length of the conductor increases, then resistance also increases. If area of the conductor increases, then what will happen to R? R decreases. Now I put it in equation. R is directly proportional to L by A, where L is representing the length of the conductor and A is representing the area of the conductor. Once again, what I do? I remove this proportionality sign. So I introduce is equal to. So you get a proportionality sign, that is called as rho into L by A. What is rho here? Rho is called as resistivity of the conductor. Resistivity of the conductor. Or it is also called as specific resistance. Specific resistance. So once again, I'll explain it to you. So the resistance will be directly proportional to the length of the conductor. It will be inversely proportional to the area of the conductor. So when I put it in expression, what I will get? R will be directly proportional to L by A. R when I remove this proportionality constant, what I will get? I will get it as R is equal to rho into L by A, where rho is called the resistivity of the conductor, specific resistance of the conductor. Now we have come across a third quantity, that is resistivity or specific resistance. Now we try to understand what is the specific resistance or resistivity. See, resistivity is the inherent character of the material. What is inherent character of the material? See, by build itself, this character or this quantity will come into force for that particular material. It depends on the material. Resistivity will depend upon the material. For copper, resistivity is very less, while for rubber, resistivity is very high. I hope you understand. So copper is a conductor, while rubber is a insulator. Means the conductors will allow the current to flow through them easily while the insulators will not allow the current to flow through them easily. So this resistivity will define whether a material is a conductor or an insulator. If the resistivity is very less, then it will behave like a conductor. If the resistivity is very high, then it will behave like a insulator. Now then we have got one more new quantity. Let us define the unit of this quantity. To define the unit of this quantity, what I do? I will take out this rho outside. So I get it as R into A by L. Okay. What is the unit of resistance? Ohm. Unit of resistance is ohm. What is the unit of meter? Area. It is meter square. And what is the unit of length? Meter. So this meter and this meter square will get cancelled. So what will get? Ohm meter is the unit of resistivity. Okay. Ohm meter is the unit of resistivity. So what is the unit of electric current? Ampere. What is the unit of potential difference? Volt. What is the unit of resistance? Ohm. Now the new quantity, the resistivity or specific resistance is, what is the unit of specific resistance or resistivity? It is ohm meter. Okay. So this is the inherent character. I already told you, it depends upon the material of the conductor. If the resistivity of the conductor is very less, then we say that the conductor it behaves like a conductor. If the resistivity of the conductor is very high, then we say that it behaves like an insulator. So with this we have introduced two new quantities today, that is resistance and resistivity. So we go to the next topic, which we call it as next we go to the combination of resistors. Okay, so we have finished about resistivity here. So what are the main things what you should remember in resistivity? Resistivity is the inherent character of the material. So if the resistivity of the material is very less, then we say that it is a conductor or it is a very good conductor. If the resistivity of the material is very high, then we say that it is an insulator. That means it doesn't allow the current to pass through it. Okay, so the unit of resistivity is ohm meter. So with this we go to the next topic, that is combination of resistors. See, these combination of resistors will be usually used in the circuits. So we are nowhere we are using a single resistor. So we will be using the combination depending upon our usage. So let us go to the combination of resistors. So we have two types of combinations here. So two types of combinations. What are the two types of combinations? The first one is series combination. The next one is parallel combination. Okay, series combination and parallel combination. First we will start with series combination. So series combination, in series combination the resistors are connected end to end. The resistors are connected end to end across a cell or a battery. Okay, let us name these resistors as R1, R2 and R3, and let us name this as V, the total, and due to this cell a current of I is flowing through the circuit. Now the general question that will arise here is, what is meant by connecting the resistors in series, or what is meant by connecting the resistors end to end? End to end means here it will have its own potential difference, means you are connecting the resistors across its own 2 points. This resistor is having its own 2 points, means this resistor will be having a potential difference of V1, while this resistor will be having a potential difference of V2, and this resistor will having a potential difference of V3. Means each resistors will be having its own potential difference. That combination or that type of combination is called as series combination. So the total potential difference V is divided into 3 parts: V1, V2 and V3. So let me put it as V is equal to V1 plus V2 plus V3. Okay, what is V here? Shall I put it as I into R? Where R is nothing but the effective resistance or the total resistance of the system or the total resistance of the combination. V1 is nothing but, shall I put it as I into R1 plus I into R2 plus I into R3. So what I do here, I will remove this I into Rs is equal to, I remove this I common outside, R1 plus R2 plus R3. So I and I will cancel. Rs will be equal to R1 plus R2 plus R3. So the effective resistance of this combination Rs will be equal to R1 plus R2 plus R3. So this is what about the series combination. Now next I will go to the parallel combination. I hope you understood about series combination. So what is series combination? Once again I will explain this one. Series combination. In a series combination, the resistors are connected end to end, where R1 will be having a voltage of or potential difference of V1, R2 will be having a potential difference of V2, and R3 will be having a potential difference of V3, and I will be flowing, current I will be flowing through the circuit. This total V will be divided into V1 plus V2 plus V3 across the three respective resistors, while I have taken this V as I into Rs. What is Rs is? Here Rs is the effective resistance of the total resistors. So here I am cancelling I and I, so I will be taking it as Rs is equal to R1 plus R2 plus R3. Likewise, let us study what is parallel combination. Before winding up today's session, let me also finish what is parallel combination. So I take one resistor R1, R2, R3, R3. In this combination I1, I2, I3. Okay. What is parallel combination? Let us try to understand what is parallel combination first. In parallel combination, all the resistors will be across the same potential, that is nothing but V. All the resistors will be across the same potential, that is V, while the current will be divided into I1, I2 and I3. Say if I is flowing in this direction here and coming here, this I will be divided into I1, I2 and I3. So let me put it as I is equal to I divide it into I1 plus I2 plus I3. Okay, but what is I? What is I in terms of V and R? Shall I put it as I as V by Rp? What is Rp here? Rp is the total effective resistance of the parallel combination. So they have converted this I into V by Rp, where V is the potential of the cell and Rp is the total effective resistance of the parallel combination. So Correspondingly, I will change it into V divided by R1 because V is same for all the resistors, plus V divided by R2 plus V divided by R3. Now when I remove this V outside or V by RP is equal to, what I am doing, I am removing the constant V outside here, so I will be left with 1 by R1 plus 1 by R2 plus 1 by R3. So V and V will cancel, you will be left with 1 by RP is equal to 1 by R1 plus 1 by R2 plus 1 by R3. So this is the one, this is the equation. Now this is the effective resistance for the parallel combination, that is 1 by Rp is equal to 1 by R1 plus 1 by R2 plus 1 by R3. Now for series, what we got? For series we got it as Rs is equal to R1 plus R2 plus R3. Rp is equal to, so 1 by Rp, this is for the parallel combination, 1 by Rp is equal to 1 by R1 plus 1 by R2 plus 1 by R3. So this is the combination of resistors. Once again, I will explain it tomorrow once again, so that it will be well versed with you and you will finish it for once for all. Okay? Thank you, Manoj.